Welcome back to Lawyers and Libations with Sarah and Rebecca.
Hello, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. We kind of had some downtime in October and November. There was lots of holiday traveling, lots of kids' sports, lots of
Halloween,
Thanksgiving, Stottlevember.
Oh my God. Best month of the year.
So some people actually celebrate birthday weeks. We've now nicknamed it Stottlevember because it's my entire month. Rebecca loves it.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Like November 1st, she'll text and be like, oh my God, it's my birthday
It's
month.
my birthday month. I love birthdays. I love them. I couldn't love them.
I mean, you do embody like the perfect birthday person.
The joy
like,
of
you love to be
birthday.
celebrated.
I do.
Like some people are like, oh shucks, you don't have to mention it. And you're like, why, thank you very much. It is my
Thank
birthday.
you. Who's doing speeches at my dinner?
I have to admit, I did not give a speech at your dinner because Chris's was so good.
It was so good.
It was so good. There was really nothing to add after that. I was like, well, just chugged another espresso martini.
Thank you. They got me, I will say they did get me a birthday cake that was travel Barbie or adventure Barbie cake. And it had this fucking Barbie on it that had like her little purse and she was sitting there and she had like multiple bottles of vodka like around her.
Did I show you what the first cake looked like?
No.
Oh my God. So Katerina and I handled the cake thing. And so she called me the morning of your birthday dinner and goes, I'm going to need to send you a picture of the cake. But she's standing with the baker and she sends it to me and it's a purple-haired space Barbie.
What?
Sitting on the cake.
Like, was I going to a rave?
Well, our hunch is that he just didn't know like what you looked like or what color you were. So he was like, I'm just going to go with this purple-haired Barbie.
Astronaut Barbie?
She looked like an astronaut. She had on like a full silver dress, stripper heels. I was like, that actually doesn't look anything like Sarah. And Katerina was like, I know. So we did like a last-minute Target. Like she went to Target and she like called me from the aisle and she was like, which one looks like the most a travel Barbie? Like definitely the cake. I missed the assignment.
Yeah, I couldn't love it more. It was absolutely delicious, and it was very, very funny. Like, and maybe we can post that as one of our reels.
The before and after.
It
like,
was
so
amazing. So Stottlevember passed without any sort of tragedies or
nothing major.
Horrendous things happening. I went down to Disney for more fucking soccer. Because that's what we do. That was awful.
Mm-hmm.
But, nothing like Disney over your birthday and Thanksgiving. Fucking kill myself.
I went to the beach.
Yeah.
Did some fishing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you did. You got all the
Caught
fish.
some nice fish.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are in full swing of the holiday season now, which means that we are out legitimately, 5 nights a week.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
I may die. I mean, you could hear it in my voice at this point in time.
Yes. So basically, we had to kind of kicking things off. It was a little bit before the holiday parties, but we went to a friend's party. Their firm rented out some of the Cheetah Club, which is a strip club in Atlanta, for one of the school's homecomings. And the most amazing thing that I've discovered is, I'm sure there's still multiple beautiful strippers out there. I think that. So before everybody jumps on my ass online about saying all strippers are ugly, because they're definitely not. They're phenomenal, and they're much more flexible than me, and they're more athletic. That being said, I do believe that a lot of the hot strippers went to OnlyFans. What do you think about that?
I think you're right. So also during the month of Stottlevember, for another friend's November birthday party, we may have ended up at the Pony. And I was definitely shocked by the talent.
It wasn't good. I mean, like, I used to, when I was single, prior to getting married and having kids and all that, or having a child, the strip club was like one of my favorite bars to go to because A, there's never a line for the bathroom, the girls' bathroom. There's not. B, there's naked women, so you're not really being hit on by skeezy people all the time. And C, at that point in time, I smoked cigarettes, and you could smoke inside strip clubs. So it was my favorite place to go. And there's hot women everywhere. I have not seen that talent recently.
No hot women. The men were so creepy. And I think
gross,
due to the lack of hot strippers, because I also had on like a turtleneck dress, like shockingly, very conservatively / kind of hoochie combo dressing outfit. But I walked through the crowd and this little fella popped up and he was like, "You're the most beautiful woman in here."
God.
And I was like, if
Always
I'm the
little
hottest girl in a
fellas.
strip club, clearly the talent's not good.
That's not okay. But you've actually had that happen multiple times where we've gone to strip clubs together. Like when we went to Tattletales, that
that rapper.
this guy. So one of the local strip clubs in Atlanta, you can't get in as a female unless you're escorted by a male. I guess they're worried about wives or girlfriends or fiancés and stuff coming in. So we were going to meet some of our male colleagues there one time, and we met this guy at the door who was like, what did he even say? He was like, "Oh yeah, there was me," and then he hands Rebecca a wad full of dollar bills, and he goes, "Hey, can I get your number?" And she goes, "No, I don't think so." And he goes, "Okay, well, let me call you and I'll give you mine." And she goes, "Okay." And I'm like, "Rebecca, what in the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, he just got his goal. So then tell everybody what happened after that.
Oh, yeah. The next day we were sitting at a conference and he sent me a dick pic.
A huge dick pic.
I was like, "Oh my God." And Ryan and I share an Apple account. I was like, "Oh my God, this is going to go on our family account." I'm like, delete.
It's going into the
I
cloud.
died. So I reported him to Apple. As junk.
Right.
And so then he texted me, he was like, "Did you report me to Apple?" And I was like, yes. Do not send pictures like that to women unsolicited.
Well, plus it was scary. It went down to his knee, right?
It's terrifying.
I can imagine
Never seen anything
Ryan's
like it.
face. Ryan, Rebecca's husband's pretty buttoned up, and we absolutely love him. I can imagine him going into the iCloud and seeing it's a huge pic.
Be like,
Huge dick pic. He'd be like, "What happened?" Yeah. So
Funny thing happened on the way to the strip club last night, honey. No big deal.
she does usually have some fun stories from strip clubs. So that anyway, on to the holiday season.
Yep.
Now we're in it. Hopefully we'll not end up at the strip club very often during, the Lord's month. But but we do have a tendency to end up at Johnny's.
Yep.
You were there last night.
I was there last night. I was there until the last call. My feet hurt so badly. We've got another party tonight. I don't know how I'm going to wear high heels. But most importantly, I checked my phone this morning, and I got in over half of my steps between 12 and 2 this morning for the day.
Good grief.
No wonder we were so hot and skinny in college.
Well, that plus we were 21 and our metabolism was much better. But I was hot and skinny in college. I didn't dance. I played pool every day.
No, I may have burned 1,000 calories.
Yeah, I don't. How many times have you been this week to Johnny's?
3.
3. We're on Friday morning, folks. She went to Johnny's 3 times.
I'll go again tonight and next Friday.
Oh my God.
Well, probably one other day next week.
I might join you at one of them. Usually I'm like, good night, I'm going home.
Yeah,
'Cause
I feel like you'd 11.
It gets really crowded. It's
so
hot.
crowded last night. It was awful. It was actually less crowded on the dance floor, which is why I just didn't leave the dance floor. And there were less creepy guys on the dance floor. It was like the creepers were totally out in full force last
Gross.
night.
I can't.
I'm like, I'm not there to dance with other people. I'm there to dance by myself and with my girlfriends.
Yeah, or I love it when our single friends end up meeting people at Johnny's and making out with them up against the mirror.
Oh, God. I'm like, picture?
Anyway, it's yeah, exactly. We're like, we'll take that snapshot. Thank you. So it is a fun place if you're ever in Atlanta. Johnny's Hideaway. It's the late night spot to be.
So fun.
And great music, all from the 80s. A little bit, some late 70s in there. You got some Dancing Queen and stuff.
And they threw, they don't play any rap, which I hate because I do love some good rap.
I would go if they played hip hop. I'm just saying.
It's definitely more of 80s, some 90s. It was
Lot of
good last
a-ha.
night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lots of Whitney Houston. I love Whitney Houston.
And she is fucking phenomenal. So I do want to say you and I had this very funny revelation conversation when we were talking the other day. Rebecca was in bed with her kids, and she was like, "Oh, I'm watching the show Henry Danger," and I go, "Henry Danger?" I was like, "God, I fucking love that show. That guy's hot as shit." Okay, so then we had, which could be, if it would be creepy if he were 15, but in reality, I think he might be 45. I'm not really sure, but he does play this high school boy. I think he might be 30 in real life, or at least 28. 30.
So I ended up, I had
You
to
Googled
Google
them.
it because I was
good.
like,
Am I a pedophile?
Yeah.
You're not.
We're not. We're totally not. He's now, particularly now, these new seasons, he's older. He is smoking
He's
hot.
getting Botox. He's 30.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And his dance moves, so I looked at Hayden, I go, whew, Henry Danger is so hot. And she was like, Mom, That is creepy.
It's so not creepy.
Really is
I do
creepy.
the same thing with Adeline. There's a couple different shows that the male characters that are playing high schoolers, again, like 90210 when everybody was fucking 30 playing like they were 17, are hot as shit. I would absolutely make out with Henry Danger.
John B. on Outer Banks.
I've never seen Outer.
Oh my God, it's so good. Hunter and Hayden are both into it. And so every time they turn it on, I'm like, oh, John B.
We love that guy.
He's so cute.
What is it? Victorious, that black-haired guy?
Oh, Beck.
Beck. God damn, he's hot. Yeah, so I think the good news is for all people, or all wives, and I mean husbands too, the women are also of age. They're not actually under 18. But like as your kids get older and their choices on shows shift, you actually can enjoy watching it because they've got really hot people playing those roles.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely improved. It's way better than like the Teletubbies phase.
Yeah.
I much prefer the Henry Danger phase.
I mean, I did love some, not Peppa, Bluey. I love fucking Bluey. Bluey was really
Bluey was
good.
good.
I mean, it was good because it was kind of funny, but I'd much rather watch shirtless Henry Danger or Beck any fucking day of the week.
Ooh.
Good grief.
John B.
John B.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to tell you. You know, both are big readers. I just finished Britney Spears's memoir.
I can't even imagine why you would spend time reading that.
I listened. I did not, because I knew I was.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, I was worried that it was going to be poorly written, and I hate reading bad grammar. I'd much rather listen to it. And Michelle Williams.
She's
read
a
it.
brilliant actress, obviously. She's lovely, so there has to be some merit.
Well, Britney did the opening, which lasted like
Jesus, tits.
1 minute. And she talks in this really
No, I
voice.
can't.
I was like, thank God she didn't read it. Michelle did a great job.
She would.
What's crazy is, do you feel like Justin Timberlake was getting all this like hate for like their relationship? But if you actually listen to the whole book, that was such a blip on the radar compared to the crap she went through with her family. I'm like, why are we hating on Justin Timberlake? Why are we not?
Nobody needs to
hating
hate
the
on
dad?
Justin Timberlake.
They were
Not even.
teenagers.
I mean, they're 100% teenagers. P.S. Like, that happened to millions and millions of women in high school. I can name like fucking 10 of them off the top of my head right now. That's part of life and a lot of people's lives, and those things happen. And I was like, can we just leave Justin Timberlake alone? It's not like he fucking gagged and bound her and tied her up and fucking put her in the back of his car and like on what is that shit? What's that movie what's the show we watch? Yellowstone. Where they tricked her. She got a hysterectomy or something like that. God, that was fucking terrible. So that you could be fucking pissed off if he like took her in and got her a hysterectomy. He didn't. People, can we just move on from that? Poor Justin Timberlake and his precious wife. Like they needed to deal with shit like that.
So if you listen to the whole thing, the dad and the mom, like they're all complicit in her and like ruining her entire life. So you can see why she went crazy. And she also explained that the day she shaved her head off was because Kevin was keeping the kids from her. Like, Kevin's a bad guy. Why are we hating on Justin? Let's put up some funny pictures of Kevin and his attempted rapping career and talk about how bad and gross he is. And I agree. Just hashtag leave Justin alone.
Yeah, we do need to leave poor Justin alone. Poor little fella's had a rough go. And then, okay, I don't even know what to say though, because I followed Britney Spears. It's kind of like watching one of those train wrecks because my friends were like, Sarah, you got to see what's going on. And I was all for free Britney Spears. Now I'm really like, please put a fucking conservator back on her. Doesn't need to be her dad. Doesn't need to be anything to do with her family, but like somebody that can, or just like maybe a social media person that can like monitor what she does. Stop rolling around fucking topless in the water when there's families around with little kids, and stop like, I don't know, putting sheets over your head and being like, hello, good
so she
morning.
speaks to that in the book because that's like the whole last chapter. She's like, I know people are judging my social media and my Instagram, but she said that's her like reclaiming control of her body. She's like, my body was so controlled and judged for so long, and other people had to tell me how I had to look. She was like, so now I love posting all of these naked pictures and videos and dances.
Oh, you mean
because it makes her feel free.
So you mean she was a woman, is what you're saying? Because like, yeah, our bodies are fucking judged and looked, and there are things that you fucking do. And if you have kids, you don't fucking post things like that online. Stop dancing like that in front of the goddamn camera every day. It's absurd.
It's crazy.
I'm sorry. I'm passionate about it because I can't even imagine. And she's like, I don't know why my kids won't talk to me. I'll fucking tell you why your kids don't fucking talk to you.
My kids would die.
Adeline would lose her fucking mind if I was sitting there. Can you picture me doing the knife dance like in some sort of fucking like negligee? And Adeline would be like, Mom, my friends follow you on Instagram. Can you please take that down? I'd be like, I'm just trying to be so free. No.
I'm just expressing my inner love of knives and danger. Yeah, thinking of Henry Danger while
God, I love
swooping knives.
Yeah, he's absolutely amazing. Again, I would much rather talk about fucking Henry Danger than Britney Spears.
All moms,
She's a psychopath. Absolute.
So switching a little bit to some nerdy law stuff.
I like nerdy law stuff.
So in this kind of in the same vein of just reliving the holiday season and funny things that people have been out doing, there's a recent case that came out of Louisiana. I want to get your thoughts before I tell you how the judge ruled in this workers' compensation
From Louisiana.
Claim.
Red wine.
So white wine. There were 4 gentlemen that after work went to a work dinner at 6:00 p.m. Their work day was
Were there managers there?
Yep, it was managers. It was like, I think managers and some coworkers.
Work party,
kind of.
Holiday.
And so their work day ran from like 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. or something. And then they go and they end up having this big dinner, lots of drinks. They go to a strip club. And when they are leaving at 2 a.m., the most sober of the 4 gentlemen says, well, I want to make sure we all get to work on time, so I'll just drive everybody to work. So nobody went home. He was just dropping people off at their jobs. This is clearly bad decision making. Yeah. And gets in an accident,
Jesus
and one
Christ.
of them dies.
Jesus.
And his family files a workers' compensation claim on his behalf and says that it was part of, he was getting transportation to work from a coworker, so it should be covered by workers' compensation.
Was it his manager or just a coworker that was driving?
That was driving him.
What if it was like his boss?
That would complicate things. So what do you think the judge did?
Said, I'm really fucking sorry that your guy died, but no, I'm sorry. That's not workers' comp. Nobody goes to work 2 hours early.
You're absolutely right. And so
I knew
the
it.
judge did not rule in the favor of this gentleman's estate. And part of it was because the fiance or baby mama, whenever she testified, said that his workday ran from 6 to 5. And the judge was like, well, going to work at 2 a.m. doesn't make sense. That's definitely not going to work with like coworkers. Like, are you just trying not to go home probably? Were you going to go to work and sleep on the couch?
But was he actually on his way back to the office, or did they just lie and say he was on the way back to the office because it was in the vicinity?
I mean, it could definitely have been a credibility issue for sure.
So, but don't you? I would feel like it would complicate things if it were like his actual boss, like that is responsible for his raises and all of those things. That were like, I took you to the strip club after I took you to dinner, paid you for dinner, took you to the strip club, gave you a pile of bills, onesies, and then was like, you know what? We should probably go back to my office and fucking keep drinking until the morning hours. What do you think?
And work.
And
And
I
work.
mean, what did he check an email on the way? We don't fucking know.
Maybe.
But that could absolutely change it a little bit if he like felt required to be there as part of his job duties, or what if they were entertaining clients and the clients were still with him?
Ooh, that could complicate things.
What if he was banging his clients? See,
Then that would not. But are they drinking? They're probably drinking, and that's just going to yank the whole thing out. It's going to get denied on intoxication.
But his death didn't happen from that. His death happened from getting in a car accident.
Because the person was also drinking that was driving.
Yeah, that
Because
that person's claims denied for sure.
Yeah.
But what about the guy who's dead? They probably didn't test his blood alcohol level.
Probably
It was
not.
all smush.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So anyway, so
Christ.
note to self.
Note to self.
That would not. So basically, for those of you that don't do workers' compensation, there is, like, if you're traveling to or from work and you're in an auto accident, it's typically not covered by workers' compensation unless your employer provides transportation, you're running an errand for them.
Correct.
Your boss is making you go work by leaving a strip club.
Sending emails, picking up care packages on the way home.
But yeah, so there are definitely some ways around it, but but anyway, it's just so as a general rule.
So
but yeah.
I had a case, so it's also like deviation from employment, right? Those aren't going to be compensable. When I was doing defense, I had a case where I was representing UPS. And the UPS driver was, and I mean, like, terrible fucking case in the sense that he got into a bad car accident and was then subsequently in a wheelchair. But he had left his route because his girlfriend had called because her car broke down, like, up on a different street away. So he left his typical route, was going to the girlfriend, helped change her tire or something. And then when he was going back to get back on his route, he got fucking creamed by a car, right?
God.
And so sadly, I won that case because it was a deviation of employment, but it was a lot, we had many depositions where we were going through, like, where exactly were, because the argument was he was in the vicinity of exactly where he should be. It's just whether or not he was working at the time of the accident. So no deviations, no strip clubs. You're not actually going to fucking go to work at 4 a.m. or 2 a.m., whatever the fuck it is. No one's going to buy that argument. So you better come up with some really good ones. I would highly recommend calling us if you need some good ones, because you want to say you were with your boss. He was paying you. He wanted to bring you to his office to have more cocktails.
Yeah. I think that would
might
help.
be
That would
more
definitely help.
compensable.
Well, and to continue with the nerdy law theme, the nice thing about having an auto accident that also is work-related is you can get workers' compensation to pay for all of the treatment.
All the
Pay
treatment.
for your lost time from work, and then go settle the auto case.
More
and
money
not
in your
worry
pocket.
about workers' compensation getting their money back.
Yeah, so that's in Georgia.
In Georgia.
Yeah, we're like
Not
in
in
Georgia.
other states. In Georgia, that's definitely something that you can
which is lovely.
get away with. Yeah.
It's fantastic. So today we will be having a brilliant lawyer on. She's one of my best friends, favorite people. Her name is Natalie Woodward. She focuses on medical malpractice claims. She's had one of the biggest verdicts in Georgia history. She's just an all-around great fucking person. She's
super smart.
She's very funny, and she's one of, again, the smartest lawyers that I know. So she will be coming in. I'm not sure what she's bringing, but it's going to be some sort of coffee additive, like either whiskey or Bailey's or something, because it is, I don't know, fucking 10:30 in the morning here right now. So
Please be Bailey's and not whiskey. Please.
I'm hoping for
I don't know if I can
whiskey,
do it right now.
But yeah, you got this, Rebecca. It's just training you for tonight's party. You're going to be okay. Welcome back to Lawyers and Libations with Sarah and Rebecca. We have Natalie Woodward with us. Yay, Natalie.
Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you.
Yes, we love her. She is with Warshauer, Woodward, and Atkins.
Yes.
She's one of the most brilliant med mal lawyers I know. Well, just general trial lawyers that I know. And we're thrilled to have you today.
I know. I have lobbied to be on here. Not ashamed to say it.
I've been. Well, I mean, you are our number one choice for med mal.
And then I was late.
And then she was late. So
It's just a little confusing. There was a lot happening last
a
night during
different time.
scheduling.
she thought it was at
Put
11.
onto my calendar.
She thought it was at 11.
And I think what happens too is that I'm being rebellious about my age. So instead of like making myself look at my calendar every morning, I go, oh, I'll remember. I know what tomorrow.
Oh no, you're fucked. You can't do that.
I
We're
know.
too old for that.
I know.
I look at mine the night before.
I know. I think that I think this is maybe the second or third time this has happened to me in the past couple of weeks.
It's hard. I can't tell if I just got dumber after COVID and lost the ability just to remember when everything was happening. Now I have to do my schedule on Sunday
I think
night.
it's an
like,
age
whole
thing.
week.
It's like why I'm fucking blind now.
Yeah,
Very
it's
irritated.
terrible.
I got irritated the other day because I had a bunch of briefs come in on this case that I'd had. So it was it took like a year to get the transcript. So all the briefs finally came in, and it was like reading 200 pages of somebody telling you like all the things that's bad about your kid or something. It was
Your kid
horrible.
sucks.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate Monday morning quarterback feeling of somebody who wasn't there, who's writing all this stuff, and
shredding you.
and just shredding
And the
everything, and so I was like, well, that's bullshit, and that's bullshit, and that's bullshit, and so all of a sudden I start going and looking these cases up that are cited, and I'm reading the cases. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, that case is not on point.
It's
and this
not
case
fucking
is
applicable at
And then
all.
I go back and I'm looking at the transcript from, a year and a half ago. And all of a sudden, all those cases are in the transcript. I've already learned them, talked about them, had them in the hearing, had them in the transcript, and forgot about them.
You were
And
like,
relearned it a whole second time.
you're like, look at those facts. God, I don't feel like that's really on point, though. So I'm going to move on. And you're like, oh, I actually discussed that case in my brief.
Already had like talked about it in the transcript of the trial, had full-on stand-up arguments about these exact cases, and had forgotten.
How weird is it, though, when you go back and read a transcript? Like, sometimes I'm like, why the hell did I ask that? And why in that order?
Well, and also when you're in it, it's like the old school scene with, what's his name, where he's doing the debate thing, and he like turns in and he's like, and he's like, Okay, sorry. I'm back. That's kind of how you feel after trial.
Yes, I felt, and the other thing that's funny is that in the moment when I'm using all my colloquialisms or Natalieisms, whatever they are, and I start calling people dude and all these things in open court on the transcript. And then in the moment, I'm just going with it. So I'm like just free. And then afterwards, when I go back and I'm like, golly,
Shouldn't have said-
you're a grown, educated person.
You're a grown-ass
You know?
woman.
I bet the jury likes it though, because
They-
then you're not
clearly
like
they
this
did.
snobby, overeducated person. You're
Exactly.
like on their level.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
That's for
clearly they
sure.
did. So I was going to just kind of lie and bust your balls a little bit and say that you brought us Jim Beam. But since you outed yourself for being late,
Yeah.
we actually had Tyler here help by searching the Braves office, or 680 The Fan office, to find us an enormous bottle of Jim Beam, which we're going to add to our coffee because we couldn't actually have a morning show without some fucking Jim Beam in
yes.
coffee. So
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and make, that was a lot.
I mean, I just gagged, but I'm definitely going to give it a whirl.
We're going to give it a whirl.
I thought it had a pour top. It doesn't. Give that over, Rebecca. Nice try pretending that it already had stuff in it.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I had so much
I'll make it
I had
Fireball
plans
last
for
night.
like Bailey's and Kahlua and
Yeah, that would've been
coffee and
delicious.
some like whipped cream and
Whipped cream. Thanks, late girl.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it. So anyway, Jim Beam it is. But couldn't be happier. Thank you, Tyler.
next week y'all get a delivery of whipped cream.
Whipped cream and Bailey's and Kahlua.
Yeah.
Delish.
Cheers.
I'm
Thanks
gonna,
for
I'm gonna
coming.
send it at like 7 a.m. too.
Yes.
Just to
All
make a-
right.
Thank you,
Cheers,
guys.
ladies.
Cheers, cheers.
Will get me
Cheers.
right on that fucking.
Oh.
What? Did I spill it? Oh, are you sure?
Oh, yeah,
splashy
amazingly.
splash.
Oh, okay.
Didn't
I'm
get
like,
out.
Jesus. So this will help me get right on my airplane to Sarasota, Florida this afternoon.
Oh. That went down better than
Are
I
y'all
thought it
going
would.
early?
See, it's fucking delicious. Where are we going? Oh.
Did y'all decide to go early?
No, the flight leaves at 2. We've got a MARTA there. The
Oh,
fucking
perfect.
damn parking at the Atlanta airport.
it's
Jesus
awful.
Opted against
Christ.
spelling bee.
It was in January. She was
Okay,
wrong.
moved it. Okay.
So she pulled a U.
I knew I liked that kid.
I win. She's fucking amazing. So how did you know? I just want to start blasting you with questions. How did you know and when did you know you wanted to be a lawyer? Spell it.
I was in journalism school, so I'd always been interested in,
Jesus.
law shows and movies and stuff that had. I loved movies growing up, and I gravitated to movies about medicine and the law, and then like FBI. I loved Silence of the Lambs, and but I thought I wanted to be a journalist. So when I went to college, well, originally I thought I wanted to be a doctor, and then I took one calculus class and got the reality shock.
I was going to be a doctor too.
not gonna
Organic
happen.
chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
Go
The chemistry
fuck
killed me.
yourself.
That's why I'm not a
that
doctor.
calculus class is what made me go, oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. And so the next thing I'd always done and loved was writing. And so I applied to journalism school. And at the time, Georgia, which I think it's still true, it had the top 3 journalism schools in the country.
Closely, or just led by UNC was number 1.
Yeah,
Yep.
so it's like
Where
where
Rebecca,
I went,
Rebecca
yep.
went to the
SJ
journalism
school.
school.
Yeah, so
Have
it's
you heard
like
her sexy
UNC,
voice?
and then
Hello.
there's,
Very, very deep today.
Very sexy.
There's another one. I forget who was number 2, but so the journalism school, you can't just declare your major. You actually have to apply and submit all these writing samples. And it's
I
a big
remember when
deal.
that happened.
We had to
I
do a
friends
grammar
doing that.
test.
Yeah, all these kinds
And it was
of
like, and
things.
so a lot of people didn't get in.
Yeah, tons
Yeah.
of people. You get a whole letter.
Red
and then
wine,
you have
white
to decide whether you want to be. At the time, there was like a broadcasting component and then a newspapers component, and so I had gone the newspapers route, but there was a lot of switchover, and so I actually was about to take a job in New York because MSNBC and CNBC and all the financial shows or stations were just getting started, and
That would have been boring as fuck.
I was going to go do financial stuff for these shows because there was not a lot of women that wanted to talk about financial stuff, and I loved financial stuff. And at the last minute,
the
I was
S&P
like,
was up today
You know
by
what?
32 points.
"Hey, let me apply to law school." Because during the summers, I had worked at the DA's offices, like as a clerk at the DA's office, like in the file room, and I asked my journalism professor to do a recommendation, and he didn't want to do one for me, and he wrote in the recommendation letter to law school that he hoped that they didn't let me in because he wanted me to go be a journalist. So
Did you take off time in between, or did you
I
end up going straight to law school?
through. So I ended up getting 2 undergrad degrees, one in journalism, one in political science, in 5 years, and then did the 3 years of law school. So I was in Athens for 8 years straight.
That is so fun. I found that law school was just as much fun as undergrad.
I had way more fun in undergrad because I actually had.
You guys went to fun fucking law schools.
We did.
I
Sure.
went to Case Western Reserve in Cleveland, Ohio. There was nothing fun
Yeah,
about
we had
law
SEC
school
football
there.
games at our
No,
law
I was
schools.
in hell. It was
I
fucking terrible.
Loved Athens, but I was serious about law school, and I had not been serious about undergrad nearly as much as I was.
Right.
And law school was harder.
So hard.
It was harder.
I'd never studied in my life before.
Keto. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh wait, I actually have to.
I have to read. I remember one of my first classes in law school, whenever they call on you and they make you stand up, right? And, you're fucking petrified and you're like, I'm going to throw up in front of 250 people in my section. And they go, excuse me, Sarah? And I'm like, oh, fuck me. Okay, what? And I stood up. And they're like, could you discuss da-da-da-da-da-da? And I go, can I pass? Because I hadn't read the assignment because I made a fucking 3-0 at Carolina without reading any assignment. So I'm sure it was going to be fine. And she goes, actually, no, you can't pass. And I was like, well, this is going to be fun, man. Buckle in, bitches.
You're like, somebody slide me some notes.
I was like, can anybody give me a flashcard or a crib sheet or anything right now? Because shit's going to go bad. I was like, I mean, I can talk about hypotheticals all day, but I have no idea what the fucking reading required because I didn't read it.
That Socratic method
was bad.
brutal. And it was definitely good, teaching for coming out. But, I mean, I was terrified.
Well, no, and then your second year, it was the end of my first year that I learned that how to study and that you have to study and you have to read 400 pages a night and you're fucked if you don't. And they will call on you and all the things. And so it was like, I think the first year of law school, I pulled a 2.5, 2.7.
Yeah, I didn't do well.
I did terribly.
No,
in
it
my
was
first
awful.
year.
I did
Second
bad.
year, I
Yeah.
didn't get anything. Second and third never got below a 3.3 after that.
Yeah.
But
I did way better second and third year, but the first year it was a lot of
Oh, yeah.
cold water.
I cried. I was like, I've never gotten a C in my life. Are you
I came in
nuts?
so cocky, and same thing. I was like,
Knocked you right on
God,
your
I had
ass.
lots of C's.
Bell curve.
Yeah.
But I also loved it. So I very quickly realized that I stopped caring as much about my grades in the sense of the competition of it. And I got really invested in actually trying to figure out what it was really about.
Right.
What the concepts were like. I wanted to understand the concepts more than I wanted necessarily to be the gunner.
To get the book for the class.
Yeah, I was, so when I would, and so I focused on things that I was really interested in, but then I made a point to take things that I was not interested in at all because I was afraid of the bar exam. I was so afraid of the bar exam. So I took the tax was a 4-hour class, a 4-hour semester class. And I took tax my third year of law school
Why?
because I was afraid of the bar exam.
Yeah,
and I
it was
thought
on
it was going to
bar
be
for
on the
South
bar.
Carolina. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I hated my tax law class.
And I had not taken corporations.
Y'all could just take Barbary, right?
We
And
did.
get
I did that
some
too. I did that too. But
fucking
I just
4 hours of tax?
It
it was a
terrible.
4-hour
You're
class.
a masochist. No
It was-
fucking thank
It was
you.
crazy. But I learned a lot about taxes.
Well, and how'd you get into med mal? Tell me about that.
So because I wanted to be a doctor and
Couldn't.
couldn't. Right?
Because I wanted to be a doctor and was fully unable to
I
do
didn't
math.
know exactly what area of law I wanted to practice. I did third year practice act as a prosecutor at the Gwinnett DA's office, and I thought for a long time I'd go do that, and then at the last minute decided it's sad every day to me to be a prosecutor.
Yeah, it's awful.
even when you win. And so I was like, I don't know that I can emotionally sustain that for an entire 50-year career.
Yeah, that'd be so hard.
And so I got a job at a wonderful firm in Rome, Georgia, Brunson, Askew and Berry. That was like a general civil litigation firm, and they do a little bit of everything. So they have trust and estates lawyer, and corporate work, and education work, and med mal work, and they had just gotten designated as the lead liaison counsel in the tri-state crematory case, which was a massive case in federal court up there, and.
Isn't that where they had they were just disposing of the bodies out back in a cooler and giving them, what were they giving them as ashes?
They were giving them gravel. and what was also all the funeral homes
God, I
got
didn't
sued.
live here then.
Yeah,
Oh, it was
all
bad,
the funeral
yeah.
homes got sued because the independent contractor crematorium that they were using was the one who was doing this. So the funeral homes didn't
They
know
didn't
it,
know.
but they had the insurance, right? So they all got sued. So it was a multi-million dollar case. The plaintiff's lawyer on it was a lady named Liz Cabraser, who handled the plaintiff's case for the Exxon Valdez oil spill. To give you a comparable level of how big of a class action it was.
It was bad.
And so I worked on that for about 2.5, 3 years. And I wanted to see that case through, but I knew I didn't want to live in Rome for the rest of my life. And, but they had let me do so much in such a short period of time because they were being able to bill at rates that they had probably never billed at before because it was such a big case and a big deal, and they had gotten designated lead, that firm.
Were you living in Rome or were you driving
I was
up
living in
there?
Cartersville and driving to Rome, which is like 30 minutes away. So I got to do everything. I was working on I was trying like my first little, State Farm, Georgia Farm Bureau car wreck case defense, and I just didn't want to take a step back, but I wanted to come to Atlanta. And a friend of mine told me, well, if you want to not take a step back, you should go do medical malpractice work defense work, because they try cases, because the doctors have to give consent to settle, and the doctors are not paying the defense lawyer, right? They've paid for the insurance. The insurance is paying the defense lawyer. And the doctor's like, well, if I settle, my rates are going to go up. And if I lose, my rates are go up. But I'm not vulnerable, so I might as well go take a shot. So the medical malpractice cases tend to have more trials than normal civil cases,
Right.
because of that fact. And so went to work at a med mal defense firm and loved it, and did that for about 3 years, and then switched teams. Started my firm with my best friend Corey Stern. I was 31 and he was 30, and we just decided one day that
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We thought that we were young enough that if we went bankrupt, it'd be okay. That was literally what we said to
Not too many assets yet. We're good.
Yeah,
We're
Like,
good.
well, what's the worst that could happen? Like, we go do it for a year or two, and we're
It's off your
broke.
credit record in like 7 years. It's not a big
That's
deal.
what we were thinking. So, and then last year, I think he settled one of the biggest cases in the history of the country. It was a $600 million plus with the Flint water
Christ,
case.
yeah.
His lead plaintiff's lawyer on one of the.
Good for him.
That's
I
awesome.
love you. Were proud, weren't you?
That's so proud.
Yes. Well, speaking of some of the biggest cases in the country, so you actually got the largest med mal verdict in Georgia. The whole state.
The whole state.
You tried it.
Yes.
You won it.
Yes.
It's that case you just got the 50 fucking briefs filed on you
Yes.
last week that made you drink a lot, right? For the appeals.
Whew, I was so angry.
Yeah, I hate that. I don't even read the goddamn
No, it was
appeal
good.
briefs
I never
anymore.
read
I'm
appeal
like,
briefs.
I'm
They
not
hurt my
fucking reading
feelings.
this because
Yeah.
it hurts my feelings. It's
It hurts
like
my heart.
it's-
Yeah. Well, I think it was especially when it's a case you love and clients you love, and something that's been, I started this in. It's now 5+ years that I've been working on this.
So
case.
tell me about the
5.5
case.
So the case involves a young man who was getting treatment at a drug treatment and mental health facility, a private drug treatment mental health facility, and he was there for about 3 weeks. He was bipolar, and had been bipolar for several years, and had substance abuse issues as well. He was clean the whole time he was there, but in this particular facility, there was a little bit of a disconnect between the mental health treatment and the substance abuse aspect of it. So to make a very long story short, they took him off of his bipolar meds because
like
they wanted,
antipsychotic. Thing.
right? So his lithium and his Seroquel, because they wanted him to be like quote unquote for real sober. And
P.S. You can't do that to
yeah.
someone. Just
Yeah,
throwing that out there.
doesn't help. And
Yes, ma'am.
and then when he started to decompensate and was not acting right around other folks, they just kicked him out like cold. And then he was naked in the fetal position on the interstate, within 48 hours, and was hit by several cars and killed. And his autopsy, he had no drugs or alcohol or anything in his system. So it was just it was a weird case because it did involve drug treatment centers and mental health issues, and I think those have historically not been given a lot of value assigned to them.
Right.
But I think culturally we're more aware of mental health issues and the science behind addiction now, and we understand it better. And I think that maybe the insurance companies and the folks who evaluate these cases hadn't caught up with that cultural reality. So they were valuing it like somebody who just wasn't, nobody would think very much was worth very much. And I think they were wrong.
And then everybody else evaluated it like this could be my son or daughter with, you know, that you all unilaterally took off the meds and kicked out. So did they reach out to like family members and stuff and be like, hey, you might want to come?
No, they called the family that morning, but the family lived in North Carolina, and they asked, will you just wait and let us come get him? Will you just hold him? Like, just let us drive down there. And they said, no, this is why he doesn't get better, because you keep coming and enabling him. You need to let him deal with the consequences of his actions, and you need to listen to the professionals, and we're the professionals, and let us do our job. This is what he needs. And so they sent him to like would be a halfway house. It's just a residence with
nobody watching out him.
No, nothing. Yeah. And he left there the next morning, and no one ever saw him again until he was in the road. So it was, I didn't want to put the family through the trial. I really didn't. We weren't looking to try the case in terms of.
Yeah, because that's fucking heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking to put a family through it. But they didn't really give us any option, so.
And so how many days was that trial?
It was almost 3 weeks.
3 weeks. It took you a year to get the
transcript.
Jesus Christ, that's a long time.
Yeah, that was.
Sorry, Rebecca. That's just her swine flu acting up. It's fine.
I mean,
it's not a big deal.
My sister-in-law ended up having pneumonia because she had the same. I feel like we've all just been sick for like a month.
Everybody has.
I hope I don't have pneumonia.
I feel like you're on the mend. You're just in that like last respiratory
it's like so tickly in there.
Yeah, no. So
I can feel it coming up. So
I didn't know if I should quit talking or keep talking.
No, keep talking. I'm just gonna give her a shot of Jim Beam. Oh, she's up again. Yeah, I'm like, and she's up. We don't care. You're fine. Do you want some straight Jim Beam? Yeah. It'll help. Give her that. I'm like, that'll work. Burn that shit right out of there. So that, I remember reading about that. This was before you and I really knew each other and were really good friends. I mean, I knew of you and had met you, but we weren't really good friends then. And I remember reading about that trial and being like, Jesus Christ, people.
Yeah.
Like you just turn them out.
Took years out of my life. Probably.
I mean, well, yeah.
It was. I think that the exhaustion of the emotional, and we probably as lawyers don't always do a good job talking about this, because we're all we're representing our client. We're focused on how hard it is for them, for
right.
sure. But there is a component to the emotional, mental, physical exhaustion of trial work and what it really takes and the toll it takes on people and lawyers and their families and their co-workers and you think
yeah
you can imagine it, but until you've really tried to find the energy for a day in and day out and day in and day out. And I mean, I remember at the end of the 3 weeks when we were done and I was home, it was probably the first night, I took a picture of my feet. I got in the bathtub. My feet were so messed up. They had blisters and they were, swollen because I'd been on my feet and in heels, and it had been COVID, so I hadn't been walking around in heels very much.
Right.
So all of a sudden, I'd been on heels for 3 weeks straight.
No, gross.
I'd gone through 2 pairs of shoes, walking, into the courthouse and out of the courthouse and all the things you do, and they looked like carnage. And I guess it's first world problems probably, but
no, it's not.
There was a component of that I was like, oh man, it takes a lot. Somebody said to me once when I was really young, an older lawyer told me that trials was a young man's game, and I didn't know what he meant at the time. I'm like, what do you mean? We don't know anything about what we're doing. And now though I know, because
physically
it's
exhausting. Yeah.
Now, when you're in trial, do you stay at your mom? So do you stay at home? Or I've talked to several women that are like, I just go get a hotel room and I just check out.
I do. I get a hotel room.
Do you?
I have learned now that to try to make it as simple as possible for everybody involved. You know, it's easier to be 5 minutes from the courthouse, do all those things, and have it. You know, we make a point to do that.
And then you literally
That's
say,
smart.
"I'll see you in 3 weeks."
Yeah, because then
I
you're
love
not
you so
making
much.
lunches and like worrying
No,
about appointments. You can
about-
just check
Yeah,
out.
you can't do
Carpool.
it.
That's so
sports.
smart.
I've had, probably 4 trials since that trial, and thankfully they've all been like a week, or week and a half. And he knows it's funny because my little boy came to a trial for the first time. I had a trial like a year ago. I guess it was October, because that trial was August of 2022. I had another trial in October of 2022 that was, like an estate case. It wasn't nearly as, graphic details and kind of stuff. And so we brought Jonas to court one day just to like see, for him to be able to put a vision with what I'm doing and where I am when I'm gone for a few days, and it was super sweet.
Oh,
I
I
bet
love
He was
love
bored
that.
after like 10 and a half minutes. He was
I mean, it
He
is
was
boring.
like-
If you're not
yeah.
a lawyer, court is so boring.
He's like, I know they say no phones in the courtroom, but can I play video games on my Nintendo Switch? Because this sucks.
Yeah, and it was hilarious because at some point I was up questioning a witness, and I turned around and I looked back, and he waved.
Aw.
And it was sweet. And then like a couple minutes later, I turned back, and he was doing this signal like with his thumb, like we're gonna go.
Leaving mom. See ya.
This was fun, but I'm.
Yeah, he was trying
I
to
want-
leave without. He didn't want to wait till I was done.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. Okay, bye.
Okay, see you later.
That's so sweet.
No, but I definitely think it is a younger attorney's game. I mean, you can obviously it's the more seasoned lawyers that are going to handle things like that. But like, when I first came out of law school, I went up against Justin Miller all the time because he was a parents lawyer at the Fulton County Juvenile Court, and I was a special assistant attorney general. So I was like, I was in court all day, like 8 hours a day, representing child deprivation or prosecuting child deprivation cases for DFACs, and like, I couldn't do that if I would have already had kids because the things that I saw and heard and all of the things, I was like, there's no way I could do this. I mean, like my first probable cause hearing was a shaken baby, dead baby case. Like, and I was like 26 years old, right? So, like, I'm like, God, that's fucking terrible. But like, as an actual mother now, I'd be like, okay, well, if they don't get you here, I'm going to get you in the fucking parking lot. Right? I mean, like, the emotional stuff is so, it's much different when you are a parent.
Yeah, I think I did a lot of domestic work when I was, late 20s, early 30s to pay for my plaintiff's cases. So that was sort of how we would pay for the case, to be able to have experts and whatever. And I had a hard time even then because I wanted to just like get every case settled as quickly and as I could.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to put the family through, the kids through. I knew what was happening behind the scenes, what we were seeing.
Right.
And it really, I think I would be even worse at it now. Because I at least would have listened to these people, like tell me about, well, he did this or he said this or she did this or she said this. Now I'd be like, you are causing permanent damage to your children.
Right.
Exactly. And
they are going to be in fucking therapy when they're 45 years old. I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying.
Now I've seen what happens when they're in their 20s, and how this all can affect them. And so
30s,
I thought you was just pointing at me. I was like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah. It's your fault. They're talking about domestic cases. I mean, like, yeah, I hated domestic law. I did it for 6 months and was like, I'm fucking out.
I'd be so
thanks.
depressed if I did that.
Yeah, no, it was not good. So aren't those cute? Yeah, little cherry Altoids. Brian Bucklew gave this to me because I told him I really wanted
I didn't even know
some.
they made cherry.
I didn't either. He buys them on Amazon.
They're delicious.
I know. Anyway, so that should help him. Like, I've got a little.
Sponsored by.
Yeah, P.S. Natalie, I normally don't cough hysterically through an entire podcast.
She doesn't, but that should help. Maybe take a
Happened
shot
to
of
me in a
Jim
depot
Beam.
last week.
Really?
I mean, I was so mad. It was via Zoom, and so I looked at the lady. I was like,
What'd you gargle with, Rebecca?
I just gargled Jim Beam out there.
That's my girl.
It did help
See,
a little
I told
bit.
you it would help. Well done, Tyler.
Like a college football Saturday.
So you are, so Rebecca was obviously asking you some questions about your trial stuff with being a mom.
Yes.
How do you, because we talk about this all the time on the podcast, how are you balancing being a mom with being a trial lawyer? So you are the parliamentarian of Georgia Trial Lawyers Association.
I am.
Besides handling Robert's Rules of Law and fucking stupid shit like that, what do you do?
As parliamentarian? Mm-hmm. Well, so
you have a lot of stuff. You're very busy. So with the mom stuff, how do you balance it?
Well, let me answer the first question first. So Georgia Trial Lawyers Association is the organization that its really sole goal is to preserve and protect the right to a trial by jury.
Correct.
And our singular focus is to try to, which is the Seventh Amendment, to try to prevent the deterioration of the opportunities that, regular citizens get to decide how to resolve disputes. I feel very strongly that that's really the cornerstone for freedom and checks and balances, being that we have some equality, that anybody can, no matter how rich you are, poor you are, how many, how much power you have, that if you are subject to 12 random citizens evaluating something you've done, that gives us distinguishes us from the rest of the world, quite frankly. And that is something that is now more than ever under assault, because if you can minimize the risk that juries can do to a company or to a person, and you can control that risk and have tort reform and know that your worst day ever is only going to be $350,000, then you really don't have any fear to do anything. You can make corporate structure or profits be your sole goal. So, but parliamentarian, every year the president of GTLA chooses the parliamentarian, and the parliamentarian then will move up, so will be guaranteed to be the president in 5 years. So it's a cycle. So you go from parliamentarian to secretary, treasurer, president-elect, and president. And so Madeline is the president this year, chose me to be parliamentarian, and so now I'm officially a voting member for purposes of our bylaws and those kinds of things. So it's we meet every week, and in addition, we meet monthly. We have CLEs. We do a lot of work at the Capitol trying to stave off legislation that would attempt to harm plaintiffs or people or injured folks in some way. But I've been involved in that organization probably for 14, 15 years at this point now. And so I love it. And then, I
Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, Robert's Rules of Order. I don't really know very
Tell
much
anybody
about
that you
Robert's
need to
Rules.
I feel like you should get up to speed on that if you're the
I
parliamentarian.
used to keep a set
I'm
printed
just
out.
saying, you need to actually.
Yeah.
This is your jobby job now.
Well,
Yeah.
we do a pretty good job of the order following there, although we had a meeting yesterday, and so you have to do, make a motion,
Second it.
Yep.
Who
I've been doing
seconded it? Say aye.
Yep.
So I'm the president of the Workers' Comp Claimants Lawyers Bar. So of that section, fortunately, there's other people that are smarter than me about Robert's Rules of Orders. I don't have fucking time for that shit. I'll be like, does anybody agree with what I say? Raise your hand. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Oh
Cheers.
gosh, it makes the old guard gets so mad when that happens.
So
They're
mad.
like,
I'll be
whoa,
like,
whoa, not in the right
I'm
order.
pretty sure it passed just by looking around by hand raised. Okay, thanks. And they're like, Sarah, and I'm like, fuck, whatever, fine. Just do your thing.
So how
Anyone
do-
going to second me? But so with
How
all
do
of
I
those,
balance?
yes. How do you balance
I
it?
have a lot of help. I have a wonderful mom. I have another Jonas's other mom, and so we get along beautifully.
You co-parent fantastically.
Co-parent.
God, I love that.
Lots of friends and family and people that help in every way possible. So tons of help.
That's amazing.
Takes a village.
It takes a big village.
Sure.
It always takes a village. So you also, one thing that you did that I came out to see, which was so fucking funny, is you did the stand-up comedian class. And so we went with one of our best girlfriends, Callie. It was some of the, okay, first off, Callie goes, hey, Natalie's doing the stand-up comedy act. Do you want to go see her? Because it's her class graduation. I go, fuck yeah, I'll go support Natalie, thinking like, yeah, we got Natalie's back. Let's go do this. We'll support her. Half of the trial lawyers in fucking Georgia were there, okay? By the way, it wasn't just like me and Callie at the thing. I was like, yeah, I will support our friend. Let's go do it. It's probably just us. Nope. Half of the trial lawyers in Atlanta proper were there supporting. I mean, I shit you not.
They were going to come see that train wreck.
You had like 8 fucking tables. Now, there were 20 other people like performing or 10 other people. But like her group took up half of the thing. So I'm like, and you looked, whenever I saw you at the beginning, you looked very nervous, which is out of character for you.
Yes.
It is. It's not, that's not really in your thing. And you fucking crushed it. I mean, we were dying laughing.
It was the hardest thing I think I've ever done as far as like that kind of performance.
Were you in plays or anything like that?
Mm-hmm. No. I mean, I did a few like in middle school and stuff, whatever the mandatory. But I was not a performer in any level prior to becoming a lawyer.
Because most lawyers have like a performance background.
No, I had
or at least
none.
the
I
itch.
Can't sing. I can't sing. I don't think I'm.
You
great.
cannot dance. No, Jesus Christ, she cannot
What?
dance. She dances
I
like
love to
Elaine
dance.
from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, with
I
the
can teach you
thumb
some
and
moves.
the kick out.
No, I
It's
disagree with her
unbelievable.
about this so much. I think I am fabulous.
I might have a video of it. It's the most entertaining thing you've ever watched. If you like train wrecks.
In fact, I do.
We should go to Johnny's next week, and then Rebecca, you'll be able to see. Rebecca actually is the best dancer I've ever seen in my life. It's shocking. She's very, very good.
I do love to dance.
I love it.
But you,
Not choreographed. I just like feel the music.
No, I love
that's
it.
what she does too.
It's not lack of love. That's not the issue.
It was the whitest dance moves I've ever seen. But here's the thing. Her other qualities so overshadow her Elaine
Like,
from
it's fine.
Seinfeld dance moves. It
works.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
So, Natalie, do you think you'll do stand up again?
I do. I think it was. So the writing was interesting, but what I loved about it in taking the class was that every week when you would come in, it would be like 4 hours on a Tuesday night. You would have to have new material that you'd get up and you'd do a minute, and then you do a minute and a half, and you do 2 minutes, and so it'd be all this new material. And so the week leading up to it, you would look for things that were funny, look for things that were that you could write something about that would be funny. So you're constantly looking for the funny in the world.
Yeah.
And that's not what we normally walk around doing.
No.
And
We're
so
always looking at the tragedy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of refreshing and lovely.
Something really sweet about, and I thought, about making a point to look for the things that you can laugh about was really, I liked that.
Like Yevgeny getting on a plane that Putin
Like I
set
was
him up
talking,
for.
like that one was my
Like
favorite.
shit
That
like
was my
that.
favorite one that she thought. But I was thinking the other day, and about something, and I was like, oh, I got to write this down because yes, I will do stand up again, but I'm working on some new material. And one of the things I was working on was, as Ozempic and Wegovy and all these things are coming out and getting approved with weight loss, I was like, man, what is that going to be like if weight is no longer an issue in America? Like, there's like the divorce rate's going to go crazy, right? Because you got all
You're
these
not
people,
wrong.
You got all these people who are like these sweet little families and stuff that, are singing in the choir and because they got, they might be together because they love each other. They might be together because they are like, hey, I'm extra 40, 50 pounds and maybe I can't get anybody else. And then if you eliminate that as an issue, and then God help us if they fix balding. Because then if everybody is skinny with hair, I don't know. I mean, society may break down.
People will know there are options out there for sure. Yeah.
We're going to find out anyway. All of a sudden, they're going to be like,
here's the thing. It's still expensive as shit.
well,
It's
they gonna
fucking
find
like
a-
$800 to $1,100 a fucking
It's
month.
so expensive.
Fucking bitches.
So we're like standing around the
talking about all the time.
anti-Ozempic.
Her husband actually, tell the
We were
story.
at a dinner party recently.
Jesus Christ.
We had been overserved. And Ryan's a pretty dry but funny guy. And he goes, yeah, my wife's the anti-Ozempic. She won't take it. I was like, what? Like-
she goes, so she walks into the house. Ryan's telling me this story at dinner the other night. He goes, so she walks into our bedroom and is like,
last
gets down to
Friday.
into her bra and under and is like, oh, am I the anti-Ozempic? Like that.
I was like, do you want me to be fatter or skinnier? Fatter or skinnier?
Skinny. Fat, skinny. And he was like, fuck, God damn it, I should have said
Like,
that.
I didn't mean it that way, for the love of God.
But we've talked about this repeatedly. It's like, I mean, Rebecca works out more than anybody on the fucking entire planet. She gets up at 5 a.m., works out every fucking day, and goes to boxing classes. I mean, like, she's like still drunk from the night before. If we're on like a seminar party or something, I mean, not that she's a big booze hound, but if we're out like every once in a while, occasionally, and she, like, we get in at like 2 or 3 a.m., we're like in Miami or Vegas or something from a conference, and she's up at 5 a.m. like running on the strip. You've never seen fucking...
Six.
Okay, whatever. I'm actually, as she's putting on her running shoes, I'm going into the toilet to hold my hair back to vomit. Right? And then I get back in bed for the next 8 hours because I'm like, thanks, this was fun. I'm going to need a Zofran and a Klonopin. Yeah. But so we are very much like... we're concerned a little bit about our friends that are on Ozempic who have not had kids yet, right? Because it's like, A, if you want to breastfeed, do you know how it's going to affect the baby? No. Probably not a good fucking idea. I don't think it's really should be approved for that. But also, like, motherhood carrying a baby wrecks your fucking body.
Ruins.
So, like,
it's
y'all
like
were already skinny
yeah.
before. Now you look like Kate Moss with a heroin problem fucking in the Karl Lagerfeld days. And then you're going to get married and have a fucking baby. Good fucking luck.
I think I have less concern about this drug than I do some other drugs. And the reason why is because I think they've been around for a lot longer. They're not necessarily new drugs per se, because they've been used to treat diabetes for a long time. So they've had a lot of studies done on them. They've just now approved them for basically an alternative use. But the substance of the chemicals, it's not like it's a quote-unquote new drug. I understood the concern about the COVID vaccine more because it was so brand new.
Right.
And it hadn't had a lot of stuff. You know, I understood the rationale.
Yeah.
I didn't agree with it, and I got vaccine as fast as I could. But
Samesies.
Yeah. But I at least could understand the argument.
Yeah.
What gives me less pause is that because these are not necessarily new meds, they're just being finally approved in a new way, right? I mean, there's a lot of folks who, look, our healthcare industry thrives on us being unhealthy.
Absolutely.
Right? So I don't believe the healthcare industry is on board with weight loss, because that would eliminate a huge comorbidity and a huge reason
100%, yeah.
You know, so I think that one of the reasons why it's taken us as long to get approval for some of these things is because I don't think the healthcare industry really wants us to be healthy.
Right. Well, they definitely don't.
Quick thought, because I think we're probably going to wrap up pretty soon. But just think about all of us being former wannabe doctors, and now we're all lawyers. Do you think doctors ever sit around and they're like, you know, I really wanted to be a lawyer, but I hated reading, or I hated English, and so now I'm a doctor? Like, I don't know that happens in the reverse.
I'm going to have to ask some of our doctor friends if that's what they think about. Really?
Experts I've had.
For what if they're like, we just really don't like helping people? They're like, dude, seriously, you can't be a fucking doctor.
Some of the experts that I actually see more than probably any other profession, doctors who are like, you know, if I'd have known now what I known then, I would have gone a different route.
Yeah.
Because I think healthcare industry is a hard industry for doctors.
Oh, it's hard as shit,
and it keeps changing so much.
It's changing, and I do think that you know, the ideas about what it was to be a doctor when we were young, that is not necessarily the reality of what their life is like now.
Right.
And I think that's hard.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how much artificial intelligence changes things. You know, how a lot of that...
That scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
All the way across the board.
Are there going to be radiologists really reading films anymore, or is it going to be all AI for the most part? And how much of the industry is going to really be changed dramatically because of artificial intelligence? So,
I have one final question for you, because it made me laugh so hard when you told me about it. I was like so excited about it. You have a very unique way of prepping your witnesses for trial that you told me. Can you tell me?
You talking about dancing with them?
Uh-huh. No. I am. What do you do? Because here's the thing. We have a lot of trial lawyers that listen to this podcast that are, I mean, like some, I don't know, fucking maybe two. But it might be a great treat for them to see what you do. What do you do?
So I don't do this with everyone.
I thought it was brilliant, by the way.
I did it for a case where I was trying to help them understand the rhythm of asking a question and then having an appropriate answer, and not just talking and doing a whole paragraph long. Like, let it be a back and forth and the flow of it. And I wanted them to maintain that even with cross-examination. I didn't want them to be one-word answers. I didn't want them to be paragraph-long answers. So I said, you got to do it like a waltz. And if you can kind of think of the rhythm in your brain as you're talking and let that be that way, sort of focus on that and not focus as much on your stress, just let that, it'll kind of let you know when you've talked too much or you haven't talked enough. And so I slow danced with them, like waltz.
Actually physically slow danced with them, like follow my lead.
Yeah, and then we were talking through it as we were.
I think it's fucking brilliant. I'm sorry. I've never heard anything as quirky as that, but I think like when you brought it up to me, I was like, what in the fucking what? And then I was like, that's phenomenal, because you also have, I've got a large contingency of male clients that, if I've got a male opposing counsel on the other side and they've got them on cross and they're going to fucking try and push buttons, I'll be like, no, look at me. Look at me in the eye. Okay, I have my hand in the small of your back. Now go.
Yeah.
It
was that. It wasn't like it was like the idea. And we even had one issue where we were worried about a client getting angry, right? And whenever we were like, look, just look at us, and Dax, my co-counsel at the time, I said, Dax is what color is calming to you? And he's like, I don't know, like light blue. And I was like, okay, cool.
Carolina blue, bitches.
Dax is going to wear a light blue tie. And any time that you start feeling nervous, just look at that tie. Look at the color. Like, anytime you feel yourself starting to get angry or upset, just concentrate on that color. Like, let it be a focus point for you to kind of bring you back to center. And so
those are a lot of little trial tricks that are brilliant, by the way. And I think that makes a big difference between, like, normal trial lawyers that are just like, I called them the night before and prepped them before the hearing, and brilliant trial lawyers that study the craft.
Anything that I can find that I think we used in a closing recently. Do y'all know that kids game where you've got all the marbles and then it's got like pixie sticks, and you have to pull the sticks out from under, and then whoever pulls it out and all the marbles drop is the one that loses.
Yeah.
Right. And so, as you pull the sticks out, one little marble will fall, and then the next one pulls it out, and another little marble will fall. And I was looking at it and realized that's a great way to tell the story about what all the different things they had done wrong before, and all the times they could have stopped. And so we brought it.
Oh, I love that.
I had to get it through security,
But see, like, that's the thing. As I said, I was talking with Rebecca before you got here.
For a whole 45 minutes.
Little dig. I was like, take that, you fucker.
Yeah.
But I was saying that you are one of the most brilliant trial lawyers, literally, that I've ever met, and I know a lot of pretty damn good trial lawyers. I am biased, obviously, because you were one of my favorite people. But sincerely, the things that you've shared with me, I've been like, God damn, like, who thinks of that? You take it to another level, and I think that. Anyone would be extraordinarily lucky to have you as their med malpractice attorney and attorney for really anything. So we love you, and we thank you so much for coming and spending time with us.
I love you
today.
too. I'm sorry, I'm literally dying during all of these great stories. I can't wait to listen to the podcast later and hear all of the great things that you shared while I was hiding in the hallway chugging Jim Beam.
The next episode, Rebecca will have died from Hep C by the time we're done with this. Just throw it out
Whatever
there.
this is.
Pull your shit together.
I mean, it's awful. I'm sorry.
I'm so glad you guys are doing this and making this space for people to come and talk like this. It's just not a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, well, it's it's important. And thank you so much for coming and spending time with us today.
Sorry, I've thrown y'all off schedule, but I'll make it up to you.
Oh, you're fine, honey.
I'll make it up to you.
You good, girl. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to us today on Lawyers and Libations with Sarah and Rebecca. Listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next time.